first. What if the secret to breakthrough innovation and getting unstuck in all parts of your life isn't thinking outside of the box, but rather knowing where the box ends?
Yeah, our next guest is here to share a strategy that can actually help you finally check your goals off your list. We want to welcome now to the best-selling author, keynote speaker, and CEO of Avenue M Group, Sheri Jacobs. Welcome to Great Day, Washington.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah. I'm excited to know these tips, and I think it's interesting that you say you've got to set clear boundaries to actually have the breakthroughs that you've been looking for. Why is that the strategy?
Right. So true freedom, the kind that sparks innovation and creativity and allows you to achieve your goals, doesn't come from having unlimited options, but from actually knowing where the edges are so that you can play up to them, so that you can explore. So think of a cake. If you had a cake without a pan, the ingredients would spill over. However, when you put the cake in the oven, it rises because you have the boundary around it.
Yeah.
The same is true for our life and our goals.
That makes sense.
And I learned this in an unusual way. So 4 years ago, the doctors found a benign tumor, and it wasn't life-threatening, but it was life-changing. And it taught me that if I actually looked at the boundaries and what was important to me, then I would get those goals done, the ones that I wrote down decades ago and tucked away on a list in my basement.
Wow.
Right.
Sounds like it gave you some perspective, and then you're able to share that with others. Speaking of which, you did some research across industries, and you spoke with employees to find out what was blocking them from achieving their goals. What did you find?
So we found that it didn't matter what industry people were in, whether it was healthcare or banking, across all industries, if two things existed, then people had breakthroughs, then they got unstuck. And those two things were having structure and having freedom. So a great example of this is if you think of Top Chef. In Top Chef, in some of the episodes, they give the participants 5 ingredients, and they get very creative with it. But now think about when you go to the grocery store and all the items that you see there. We always pull the same things off the shelf and put them in our cart and make the same thing over and over. Having that structure actually creates the opportunity for more freedom.
That's true. I always ask, I need a food suggestion. If they just say salmon, then you can build the whole meal with something. You need a starting point.
Absolutely.
Okay, so is that how we put it into practice, or what's the best way to get started on setting the boundaries and knowing some of the limits?
Well, right now it's August, or we're just about in August, and one of the busiest times for people to look for a new job is actually September. And so people are starting to think about it. And this is a great example. If you're looking for a new job, instead of setting a wide net, create a more narrowed focus, put boundaries around what success looks like, and put all of your energy into that area, because you'll be more likely to find a job than if you cast that wide net.
That is a really great tip. Very good tip, because there's a lot of people out there looking for jobs, and people are very dynamic human beings. We do a lot of different things. Like yourself, you wear many hats. I know you were also a wildlife photographer. What does having a passion like that teach you as well about boundaries?
Absolutely. So being a wildlife photographer, there are lots of boundaries. First, you want to take a lot of shots. However, you've got the weather, you've got the light, you've got the safety of the animals and how close you can get to them and what lenses you have in your bag. But those actually create more opportunities for you to think within those boundaries to get that amazing shot that really moves people.
How many times as a photographer say we got to do sun, like the morning sun or the evening sun, right?
Exactly.
Right. And then you play within that and you find your best photo that way.
And you take more shots within it. So it's the boundaries are not about taking fewer shots. It's actually taking more shots, but within that defined space.
Right where you were meant to be.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for all this.
Thank you very much.
And now I want cake. You can book Sheri to be a keynote speaker. Can you tell she's a keynote speaker? She also has written several books. You can find all of them. Go to her website, sherijacobs.com. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it.